All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to STEM with Kieno.com. I am KienoThomas. I'm going to be your instructor today, and today we are going to just give you a little demonstration of the first lesson of the with the T-6 simulator. Um, you can look around the aircraft. You can see the propeller out there. You can see the upfront control panel. You can see the multifunctional displays, clock, the backup attitude indicator, and the switches are fully clickable. The throttle's movable, all that good stuff. Um, so this is an awesome tool to have before you go to primary, so you can kind of walk through the system. So it's virtually like having a look at the cockpit before you go to primary, and um, it's to me, I think it's just a great tool to use, as opposed to people just going to primary and not ever being able to sit in the cockpit. You would actually have a tool where you could um, just look around the cockpit. You can flip the switches around. You can actually see the switches, the markings on the switches, and things of that nature. And we can actually operate um, the switches and things of that nature and stuff. And this is a awesome, accurate depiction of the T6. So in today's tutorial, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just do the engine start. So at this point, the pre-flight has already been done. Okay, and we're sitting in the cockpit. We have our helmet on our lap, and we have our checklist in our lap, and I'm just going to flow through this. Now, there are just a few slight differences in what you would there's a couple slight differences in what you would see in this cockpit as opposed to a real T6, but there's really not that big of a difference as far as, checklist items and what you would do to get this thing fired up. Now, we're currently at Columbus Air Force Base, and we're going to start up on runway 31 Charlie, which is the center runway. And just to give you a little top-down view, and I think this is what's so cool about Microsoft Flight Simulator. Outside, top-down. Okay, we can see ourselves there on runway 31C. There's our aircraft right there. All right, and 31 Charlie. So if there's 31C, there's a 31 left, and there's a runway 31 right as well at Columbus Air Force Base. And you could actually fly the actual approaches and patterns here at Columbus Air Force Base, which is an Air Education and Training Command base. So let's get into it. All right, our parking brake is right there, and it is set. All right. Let's zoom in a little bit, kind of get a look at some of the markings here. All right, so this will be the parking brake out in the 9 and 3 o'clock position, and when we have it set, we press down on the rudder pedals and we pull out. So, and also there's a little icon there that indicates that the parking brake is on when it is in that position. All right, we come to the center and we make sure that the flight controls are free and correct. We can do a box pattern, or some people just do kind of like a little T-cross, but we make sure that there is nothing inhibiting the movement of the, I was about to say control wheel, but control stick. Okay, we'll come over to the battery switch, and as we turn the battery switch on, this right multifunctional display is going to come on, and these two don't come on until we turn on the avionics power. And anybody that has a little bit of flight experience knows that the avionics master turns on the radios and things of that nature. So we'll go ahead and we'll left click and we will flip the battery switch up. Okay, and like I said before, as we turn the battery on, then we have some indications here from the right multifunctional display. We have our fuel quantity, bingo fuel, what it's set at, fuel flow, IOAT, amps, battery voltage, and some other indicators that I will go in depth with in the course or in the lab if you are a part of the course. We have the torque, oil pressure, which is a 0, the interstage turbine temperature, oil temperature, N1, and hydraulic pressure. So there's really nothing going on at this point as far as the engine is concerned, as far as running. All right. What we could do on the left side panel is we could adjust our seat, and it is movable. There's no reason to do it now, but it does make a little funny little noise to indicate that, okay, we're making an adjustment. But in the simulation, it really doesn't do anything. We could just flip it up and down and recenter it. And so you would adjust your seat after making sure that the flight controls are free, correct, and just turning the battery switch on and making sure that the right multifunctional display is good. We'd adjust our seat. Now we're going to go to our fire test, all right, which is here down below the PCL, all right, and we would flip that up, and then what we would see is after that we would go up above the left multifunctional display and we would see the fire light come on. So that's just basically saying, hey, you know, we have a fire. But we'll recenter it. We can go to 1 as well, and we would get another indication. But we'll go ahead and we'll recenter that. So that is our system warning test. All right, we reset and recenter. We have a lamp test here. We flip that up, and basically, sorry about that. When we set the lamp test, we would come up to our landing gear lever. We would get a light here, and we would get a light here as well in real life. We come back down. All right, and we turn the lamp test off. All right, we make sure that our flaps are up by looking at the indicator. The flaps are up, and then we would look at the flap position next to the PCL, and we note that that is in the up position. Now, I don't have the livery for the Navy and the Air Force yet, but that is yet to come. We cannot see the flaps out here as we look on the port side of the wing. All right, these are split flaps and they're hard to see, so you will not see the flaps extend as you would in most other aircraft. We'll come to our external lights area, and it's right here. All switches are off. We'll zoom in a little bit. This is our light panel. So we have our landing light in off position, our taxi light in off position, our anti-collision light in off position, and our navigation lights in off position. So our exterior lights are off. We make sure that the PCL is in the off position, and it is in the off position. All right. The PMU, which is the power management unit, is on the right side. All right. We push this up. All right. We make sure that that is in the off position. When we set that to the off position, our power management unit, we glance back up. And if you're in the course, you will know what the danger areas are when the propeller is spinning, or you know, the prop blast areas and stuff like that are areas that we do not want the ground crew in. So you slightly look around to the slightly left, slightly right, and you make sure that there's no ground personnel walking around or linemen walking around the propeller area when we're about to start it up. All right, come back down. After PMU, power management unit goes off, and then we come up a little bit, and I'm using the little directional arrows. Those are more stable. I have a point of view switch, but it's not as stable, so I just kind of use the arrows because it just kind of settles down. All right, so we're in the starter. We're at the starter, and we're going to flip that down into the manual position. Okay, and then you can hear something going on. Alright. 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 Okay, so we pull the starter down into the manual position for about 20 seconds. And then I'm trying to, and in real life, this is just taking your hand and either pressing it up or down, but okay. So the mouse is a little bit funky with it, but that's alright. We'll flip that down into the manual. Alright. And then the power management unit, or the PMU, comes down into the normal position. And we check that our OAT is below 80. Canopy closed. And the thing is with this is supposed to come back into the normal position. That's what we were trying to do. Alright, so basically starter, we go manual for 20 seconds, bring it back down to normal. PMU, power management unit, goes normal. We go to the IOAT, make sure it's less than 80. Close canopy. Anti-collision lights are going to come on. Nav lights are going to come on. And we're going to check our engine instruments for warnings and stuff like that, right? And what's going to happen is we're going to simultaneously bring our throttle up, right? And then we're going to see a start ready light when we get things fired up. But we won't be looking at the PCL. We'll actually be operating the control because the throttle is going to come forward a little bit. And then you'll see start ready. And then you'll see everything build up and it'll go to light off. All right. Let me just toggle this a little bit. And I know it's going to be a little weird kind of looking at this. So we're coming up with the throttle at the same time looking for the start ready light. And the start ready light is on. So we're not going to move the PCL up anymore. All right, because start ready. All right, so we'll move up till start ready is on. We'll recheck that the prop is clear, and then we'll bring this up. See the N1 come up. Oil pressure's building. Okay. We have light off. N1 comes up. It's going to drop to 60%. It's where we want it. We'll see our torque come up. Now we slightly clicked our, pushed our throttle up, and we're going to just pull it back to idle, and we'll see like a slight drop in torque. And there's our slight drop in torque. Okay. And then as we look up, we'll see that the propeller is spinning. Okay. So we got light off, and our prop is spinning. Our hydraulic pressure is going to build. It'd be a little bit quicker in the real aircraft, but our oil pressure's up, oil temperature's in the green. We're idled out. 60%, 67% on N1, and our hydraulic pressure is going to continue to build up. It really doesn't build up like it should do in a real aircraft. I guess that's kind of like a glitch. But basically our engine instruments are within limits. If we go from torque, it's not in the red. Oil pressure's in the green arc. ITT is not in the red. That's a normal indication. Oil temperature's in the green. N1 is in the green. Hydraulic pressure should be building up. It looks like it's stabilizing as far as the simulation goes, but it would be building up in the green in a regular aircraft. But that is just something to note. Any kind of differences that don't actually happen in the real aircraft, I will note, so this way you are aware of that, and so you will get different indications. But it's nice to just have a tool that you can do a checklist flow through. And so we want our N1 to be about 60% normally, and that's not the case. It's slightly higher than 60%. Alright, so those are like the differences that you will have to just take notice of when it comes to this and the real T6. Alright, so our battery is already on. Our generator is going to come on. Check. Auxiliary battery is going to come into the on position. Alright, that checks. Alright, we're going to come down on the right panel to our bleed air inflow. Our bleed air inflow is going to go to the middle position, which is the normal position. And you can hear that. Our evaporator blower we just use that as required. Our evaporation blower. And our avionics master is going to come on. When we turn on our avionics master, what's going to happen is you're going to see your other two multifunction displays come on. Now what we have here is we have what's representative of a directional gyro here. We have a DG here, we have an attitude indicator here, and then we have a backup attitude indicator here. Alright, so what we have here is a happy airplane. Now in this simulation the master caution light does not go out. Doesn't go out. So that is another thing that we need to just be aware of, that's not going to go out, and don't freak out. There's nothing wrong with the plane or anything like that. Alright, our avionics master is on. We're going to go to our oxygen system, or OBOGs. Alright, and I'm going to zoom in on that so you can clearly see the switches. And this is awesome because this is actually what it looks like on the panel. You could Google images from the cockpit. So our oxygen supply is going to come on. We have flow. We're going to bring oxygen in the mask. Alright. Max, not mask. Alright, and then normal. And then we're going to test by putting our oxygen mask on. We're going to put it in an emergency position, and it's going to blow pressurized or oxygen under pressure into our mask, and we'll bring that back down to normal, but we have flow and the oxygen system. Alright, so you would test that. As far as coming back and testing some more of our indicators here, below the PCL, this is the PCL right here. Alright, we have an AOA test, and we exceed our angle of attack. And let me just I just want to test something out, because when we go high, I just want to look at something and test for just realism. I'll back up a little bit. Alright, so looking for our angle of attack indicator, which is not here. Alright, so there's some things I'm gonna actually send Iris an email. You know, maybe it's something in the next version they can tighten up on. Overspeed, bingo fuel.
Bingo, 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 bingo.
Okay.
Bingo, bingo.
Alright, we'll leave that there. Alright, so our AOA, angle of attack test, altitude test out, overspeed test, bingo fuel, and then at this point we would extend our speed brake to test that to make sure that we got a indication, because again we cannot see our speed brake while we're sitting in the aircraft. So I'm going to go ahead and extend the speed brake, and it's a speed brake out here on the annunciator panel. That checks good. Alright, we've retracted our speed brake. Alright, the light goes off. The crew actually helps us with our flaps check. So we go into takeoff by moving this lever to the takeoff position. It goes to the takeoff position and the indicator goes there. I'll do that again and zoom out just slightly so you can see it. So we'll go to the, okay, we'll go to the Alright, flaps up position. Alright, I'm going to move this with the control on the stick here, the controller that I have. I'm going to bring it to the takeoff position. It moves, the indicator moves. I'm going to bring it to landing. It moves and the indicator moves. Now you would have a lineman outside that is confirming your flap positions and stuff, and then boom. And then after we confirm that everything works, the control goes back up and the indicator comes back up. Alright, our trim aid is right there. We're going to bring that up into the on position, and our trim disconnect stays in the normal position. Alright, one thing that we didn't discuss was our trim. So all our lights are off. Alright, so this is a happy airplane. The airplane is telling you, hey, I'm happy, everything is good to go. Alright, and you know, that is our startup checklist. What I am going to be doing is I am going to actually match a checklist with the NATOPS manual for the T6 and match it as closely to the real thing as possible until we get a more accurate representation. But all in all, I think that this is a very, very good representation. Everything's going, the prop is spinning, and that was our engine start checklist. I'd like you guys to stay tuned for the taxi and takeoff checklist. And until next time, I'd like to thank you for taking time out to watch this tutorial, and I look forward to seeing you guys coming to the API primary course. And this is the laboratory part, you know, actually getting into the simulation. And you can, you know, if you get everything that I tell you to get, you know, if you got Microsoft Flight Simulator, preferably Steam, then what happens is we can meet virtually, and we get in the airplane together, and like an instructor would be doing, talking to you as you go through, and you actually operate the switches, and we actually fly this simulator together, you know. And so I teach you how to do different things, navigation wise, procedural wise, and stuff like that and everything. In addition to that, you get the NATOPS manual. So you have your own NATOPS manual. You can go through systems on your own and stuff like that, but that's part of the API primary prep and undergraduate pilot training prep. So this is going to be for undergraduate pilot training, Air Force guys, API primary guys, United States Navy, United States Marine Corps, and United States Coast Guard. And I think this is like an awesome, awesome, awesome tool to be using. So like I said, until next time, I'm really working hard towards getting this thing up. Me and my team are really going hard and to put this thing together to make sure that you guys are adequately prepared and you have a step above. Because the more you know before you get there, everything's going to be smashed up in 6 weeks for API. You know, the more you know ahead of time, the better you're going to go. You know, so when they're looking at guys in testing and, you know, who's going to get into that F-18, because I know a lot of you guys want to fly that F-18. You know, just the more knowledge you have ahead of time, it's going to put you in a better position. So I do not recommend, and one last thing, I do not recommend this for anybody that's preparing for the ASTBE or the AFOQT. Alright, this is afterwards. After you get over that hurdle, then you get here. So hopefully this is a motivational video to, you know, get you guys really studying real hard so you can get to this point. But when you get to this point, you're on your way, and as much information as you can obtain before you get to undergraduate pilot training or API and primary is going to be beneficial to you. Alright, so again, I know I ran on a little bit, but thanks for watching. KienoThomas from STEMwithKieno.com. Have a great day and be safe out there, guys. Bye-bye.